Director, Kolkata. On behalf of Renaissance Universal, I welcome all of you to this webinar. As usual, we start with the Prabhat Sangeet. So today we have with us Ms. Shushmita Nag. So I will request her to sing a Prabhat Sangeet.
Namaskar. Prabhat Sangeet Nong 4795. Am I audible, Didi?
Yeah.
Yes, it's clear.
Namaskar, Padiji. Namaskar, Padiji.
4795. পথ বেঁধে দিল পলক চলো প্রৌঢ়ে কৃষ্ণদা এ গান থামিবে না এ দাবি থামিবে না পথ বেঁধে দিল পলক চলো প্রৌঢ়ে কৃষ্ণদা বিষাদের পর আলোক ঝরিছে আর দেরি সহিবে না এ গান থামিবে না এ দাবি দমিবে না পথ বেঁধে দিল আলোক জল প্রাউডে কৃষ্ণদা এ গান থামিবে না এ দাবি দমিবে না এ গান থামিবে না এ দাবি দমিবে না এ দাবি দমিবে না এ দাবি দমিবে না নমস্কার
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Shushmita, for its wonderful song. I'm just going to tell its English meaning. That is, this song will not end. This demand will not be silenced. A path that brings unity bright, that is the mission of proud. Age after age, we have endured, but the limit of tolerance was breached. Nowadays, the demons knit their brows, the moralists are restless, on the eastern horizon. The sun glow comes. The era of darkness is soon to fade. After gloom, effulgence pervades. Further delay will not be born. So this is actually the meaning of this song of hope, and a song of aspiration and positive wave. Each and every Prabhashing, it sings about the song of hope, the hope of human mind. So now I will invite our today's chairperson, honorable speaker, Professor
No,
S.R. Bhatt.
Sunanita, once again,
Yeah.
we are announcing wrongly. Our Bhattji is a chief guest and Gopal Chand Mishra is a chairperson.
Okay, chief speaker. Okay. Sorry for this unintentional mistake. So I will invite our chief speaker, Professor S.R. Bhatt. We are eagerly waiting to hear you, sir. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Swami Divya Chetnanandji Maharaj. Homage to Shrii Anandamurtijii, an incarnation and harbinger of bliss for the entire humanity. Shri Anandamurtijii has been a wonderful personality, encyclopedic in his knowledge, multifarious in his achievements, multi-linguist, a deep thinker, a prolific writer, an erudite scholar, an innovative exponent of Indian culture, and so forth. So the sweep of his knowledge and his creative activities is really vast and sweeping, something to be emulated. The starting point of his deliberation is love, prema. And this prema gets manifested not only for the Supreme Being, but also the entire creation of that Supreme Being. So that love, at one place he has used the word pushti marga, is welfare of all, nourishment of all, caring, sharing for all. So this is a universal love that is the starting point, welfare of all. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. This is the beginning of his deliverance. And the culmination of it is in Ananda. Ananda is the nature of ultimate reality. Anando Brahmano Rupam, Raso Vaisa, and that Ananda gets manifested in many forms, which are the manifestations of human consciousness. So we begin with prema and we end up with Ananda. Both are the goals of human existence. According to Shri Anandamurtijii, this cosmos, our cosmic process, it has a built-in telos, and human existence therein, which is at the highest level, it also has a goal to achieve, a purpose to realize. And that ultimate samambanam of our existence is realization of bliss. And to undertake all such activities which are conducive to the realization of bliss. So we can say the cosmic process and human existence therein is a journey of chitta to go into the fathom of Sat, inner essence of Sat, journey of chitta to go into, to reveal the inner essence of Sat for the sake of realization of Ananda. So it is Satchidananda. Chitta revealing Sat and leading to Ananda. So this is the entire journey of the cosmic process and human life in particular. And for this, there has to be a corporate collaborative enterprise, and we have to therefore establish a samaj wherein virtues prevail. I would call it Vrati Samaj, a virtuous society, a society wherein every individual is spiritual, and spiritual means all embracing. We say our spirituality is characterized as a Brahma Samaj, a Samaj wherein everything is accommodated and given its due place and value. So we call it as Vrati Samaj. And in that Vrati Samaj, what is significant is the role of a human being. But which human being? Not a blind, ignorant, finite human being, but agnostic human being, to use Sri Aurobido's terminology. A being who is a Virat Purusha, Mahamanava, or Virat Manava. And therefore, the Manav that we talk of is not the narrow, truncated human being, but a human being who has a global vision and who has altruistic nature, working for the wellness of the entire cosmos. So, this Manav, therefore, has a universal consciousness which transcends aham, the ego, and reaches to sarvam, all inclusive, all pervasive, all accommodative. So, therefore, Shri Anandamurtijii talks of various narrow confinements to be eliminated and transcended. He talks of, say, for example, geo-sentiment. He talks of socio-sentiment, and like that, such narrow considerations. In fact, these such narrow considerations are vitiating the present-day world, which is full of stripes and struggles and suffering and so forth. All this is because of this bigotry nature that we have. We always care for our narrow self and forget about the universal self, which we really are. And therefore, he says that we should overcome this sort of narrow sentimentalism and become rational. To be rational means to have awakened consciousness. He uses this term, awakened consciousness, a consciousness which is consciousness of the totality of the whole cosmos, the entire gamut of reality. And in this, therefore, what we find is establishment of a society which is, to use his terminology, samaj tattva, where there is sameness, where there is egalitarianism, where there is no discrimination, where there is no feeling of higher and lower. All are on the same footing. All are part and parcel of the same ultimate reality. The Pinda is the same in tune with the Brahmanda. Well, this is some Samaj Tattva he has aspired for. And for this, he insisted that there should never be any lopsidedness. There should never be any truncated view of reality. There has to be. He, in fact, is an advocate of syncretism. In him, we have a very happy symbiosis of, as I said earlier, theory and practice, of the inward and the outward, the internal and the external, the subjective and the objective, the spiritual and the material. These are his terminologies which he has used in his writings. And therefore, in line with Indian culture, he is a great Samanvayavadi. Tattu Samanvayat is our motto, and he exemplifies that particular motto of a happy symbiosis of all. I would call it as a theory of organicism, in which we give the example of an organism. An organism consists of multiple organs. There is complete coordination and balance among the organs and between organ and the organism. Every organ has its due location, its specific nature and particular function. And every organ functions not for itself, but for the total organism. And there is a sense of belongingness on the part of the organs to the organism. The part has the sense of belongingness to the whole. Every pinda has the sense of belongingness to Brahmanda. And on the part of the Brahmanda also, the Brahmanda, the whole owning up. On one side we have belongingness, on the other side we have owning up. The organism owns up its every organ and looks for, cares for every organ. Whatever is taken up by the organism is percolating down to each and every organ, to the smallest cell. And therefore, this is, we have perfect balance, perfect order in a society which is really a civilized society, a Vriti Samaj. And our goal should So this is the, I should say, grand picture that he has presented before us, and he has, in fact, not only given us the blueprint of Vrindavana, but also has given us some guiding principles. And the most important guiding principle is what he says is the intellectual slavery is to be removed. We must have intellectual freedom. Swaraj in ideas, to use K.C. Bhattacharya's term. The other day, when we celebrated the Amrit Mahotsav of our independence on 15th of August, we organized a 2-day webinar on 13th and 14th. And there we also, you can say, reiterated the views of the Anandamurtijii that we should have not only just political freedom, we should also have economic freedom, we should have social freedom. Economic freedom we are striving at in India, but it should be the whole universe should be a welfare organism. So welfareism, in fact, our Indian outlook, we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So this is, and therefore we have never talked in terms of our narrow I. Our I is we. Our I is accommodated in we. Aham transcending its limit and going to Sarvam. So this is a passage from Aham to Sarvam. We don't eliminate Aham, but we don't remain confined to Aham. From Aham, we pass on. We enlarge our Aham to Sarvam. And that is the task that he has outlined before us. So we should have he has all sorts of freedom. Not only given us intellectual freedom, the blueprint of unfortunately we are very much but also has that, given us some guiding principles. Always and looking to the West. Important guiding principle is what he says is problems from the West. We borrow methodology from the West. We must borrow solutions from the West. Freedom. We borrow terminology of the West. And therefore, we are completely flunkist term. The other day, I think we have to now achieve real academic freedom. We have to stand on our own. Of course, Amrit Mahotsav, we have to close our ears, independence to outside world of August. We organized a 2-day webinar on 13th and let noble thoughts come to us from all over, but they should not dominate us, reiterate. They should not shift us away of the Anandamurtiji having that we should have solid footing, not only just on political our freedom, soil on our ground, also have and economic freedom. So, we should have social freedom. Then he talks of economic freedom. Economic freedom we are striving at in India. Social freedom. He doesn't. The whole universe should be a welfare organism. Caste system. Welfareism is very much critical of the caste system. And Indian outlook, social equilibrium. So this is we have never also talked in all gamets our narrow I, our life and I existence. Our I is accommodated in we, enhanced, and that enhancement is possible if we are free in every respect from all narrow conditionings. Our psyche, our mindset has to be changed. And for that, he uses of study. Study means education. It is education which is the emancipating agency, Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktave. And it is education alone which makes us self-sustaining. Sa Vidya Ya Arthakari. And therefore, importance of Vidya, both of the para type and apara type are equally useful. We first begin with the para and then pass on to the para. So this is the spiritualistic orientation of Indian culture, which has been highlighted by Shrii Anandamurtijii. Anandamurtijii has been, I would call him as a Varada Putra of Ma Saraswati. He is the blessed soul, as progeny of goddess Saraswati, and therefore in him we have a rare genius. Of course, we have been many such rishis and munis. India is fortunate in having a galaxy of such rishis and munis, and Shri Anandamurtijii also is one of them. So we should celebrate his advent. We should learn about his teachings, and in fact, I was proposing that we should have on behalf of Indian Philosophical Congress, we can organize a webinar on philosophical contributions of Sri Anandamurti, wherein we can be guided by one concept note. In that concept note, one paragraph on each of his works. He has been prolific writer, so many works are there, but one paragraph on each giving the gist or the essence of that particular write-up can be given, and such a concept note can be prepared by a really knowledgeable person of his writings, and we can therefore have he wants India to be reawakened, like Sri Vivekananda. He also needs a reawakening, and only an awakened India can awaken the entire world. And so first we have to awaken ourselves, and then use again. I think there is so. I'm thankful to Swami Shrii for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on this particular occasion. I offer my respectful pranams to all the speakers and to all the learned audience. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable. You beautifully explained. It was very comprehensive, and you have integrated many of the dimensions of his philosophy and his ideas, Pierre Shaka's ideas, and very nicely, and specifically your suggestion how to proceed to organize a National Philosophical Congress seminar. We will, of course, proceed with your guideline. We'll go ahead and we will write notes on each of his contribution paragraph, and we will, of course, do that. So now our next speaker, in our technical session, we are going to start with the due permission of our chairperson of today's webinar, Professor Gopal Chandra Mitra. Sir, can we start now our main technical session? Professor Gopal Chandra Mitra, the chairman of.
Yes, sir. Yes. You can start now the technical session, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So, with the permission of with your permission, we are going to start our technical session. Our first speaker is Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik, Deputy Director, Development of Human Society. Please continue.
Namaskar. Good afternoon. At the very outset, I'd like to pay my homage at the lotus feet of my revered Guru, Shrii Anandamurtijii, the propounder of progressive visualization theory and Anandamarg Pracharak Sangha. Respected Professor S.R. Bhatt sir, today's chief guest, and today's chairperson, Professor Gopal Chandra Mishra from RBU and former Vice Chancellor, Gurbong University. Today's esteemed speakers, Professor Sirajul Islam, Professor Padhi, Dr. Unil Pratap Giri, and Dr. Sudha Paray, and all the participants who have assembled here today on this auspicious occasion. Today I will be deliberating on proud for all-round development of human society. Now, PROUD, as you know, it is an acronym for Progressive Utilization Theory. This theory was propounded in 1959 by Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar, popularly known as Shrii Anandamurtijii. PROUD is an alternative to both capitalism and Marxism, that is communism, and probably in the entire human history for the last 15,000 years, Sri Anandamurtijii is the only spiritual master who has given a comprehensive socio-economic philosophy, which is an alternative to the existing capitalism and foregone Marxism. This is a new socio-economic model for sustainable future. PROUD espouses and is based on economic self-sufficiency, cooperatives, environmental balance, and universal spiritual values. Now the question comes, why PROUD? Why Sri Anandamurtijii gave progressive utilization theory? In his Ananda Sutram, he says that Brahma Sattam Jagadapi Sattam Abhikikam. In his own words, Sri P.R. Sarkar said, I quote, "It is useless to preach the gospels of Paramartha to a person who has no food to eat. To live in this physical world, to preserve our existence, artha or money is essential. However, we also require Paramartha. In order to survive, human beings need food, clothes, shelter, medicine, education, etc. If these basic necessities are not provided, life becomes unbearable. In order that these basic necessities might be provided to all, I was forced to formulate the theory of PROUD under pressure of circumstances." He also said, PROUD was formulated for removing mundane problems and helping human beings to attain Paramartha. Now let us see what are the basic tenets of PROUD. PROUD is basically based on 5 fundamental principles. The first one is that no individual, the limitations on physical accumulation of wealth or natural resources. No individual should be allowed to accumulate any physical wealth without the very clear permission or approval of the society. Second fundamental principle is that there should be maximum utilization and rational distribution of all mundane, supramundane, and spiritual potentialities of the universe. Third principle PROUD is that there should be maximum utilization of physical, metaphysical, and spiritual potentialities of unit and collective bodies of human society. The fifth principle is that there should be a proper adjustment, that is balance, amongst these physical, metaphysical, mundane, supramundane, and spiritual utilizations. And most importantly, the method of utilization, the fifth principle is the method of utilization should vary in accordance with changes in time, space, person, and the utilization should be of progressive nature. Deshakalo patroi upoga, puribartante upoga, pragadishila bhavi. In his Ananda Sutram 5th chapter, in 16 sutras, Sri Anandamurtijii has given this very comprehensive socio-economic theory, that PROUD. Now let us see that what are the differences, distinctions or differences between Marxism and PROUD. If we see, the guiding philosophy of Marxism is that it is a matter and dogma-centric philosophy, but PROUD is a God-centric neo-humanistic philosophy. In communism, the production system is the commune. They promote commune for production purposes. But in Proudistic economy, the PROUD advocates cooperatives. Leadership in case of Marxism is proletariat, the have-nots. But in case of PROUD, the leadership will be of Sadviprasth leadership. Spiritual values has no place in Marxism, but PROUD is basically a spiritual God-centered philosophy. Marxism considers and divides humanity as haves and have-nots, but PROUD is for all. Anandamurtijii says that human society is one and indivisible, and PROUD is based on Sangha Chadan. 15,000 years back, in our rishis in Rig Veda, They have uttered Sangachadang, Sangbadadang, Sangbo Manangsi Janatam, Deva Bhagang Jatha Purbe, Sangjana na upasate, Samani Bah Akuti, Samana Ridayani Bah, Samanam Astavo Mano, Jatha Bah Susuhasati. So the entire proud is based on this sloka of Rigveda, Sangachadam. In case of Marxism, Marxist philosophy, Marxist system of system, the distribution of resources, they advocates equal distribution of resources. But in Ananda Sutra, Anandamurtijii said, Boichitram prakriti dharma samanam na bhavishyati. Diversity is the law of the nature. Everybody cannot be equal. It is against nature, natural laws. And hence, Prout advocates rational distribution of resources. In Marxism, development strategy is only physical. They don't care for mental and spiritual upliftment of the human society. But Prout takes care of all the three states of human existence: physical, mental, and spiritual. In case of Marxism, there is no incentive for production, but Prout promotes incentives based on the capital shared by individuals or group of individuals, and also on the basis of the involvement, that physical labor. Prout never advocates that final synthesis of the Samaja or society like Marxism. They say that there will be a final synthesis. But Prout says that Dashakala Patri Upoga, Purivartanti Upoga, Prabhudashila Bhavi. It will be changing based on the pace and person. Now let us see what are the differences between Marxism, the capitalism, and Prout. Again, the capitalism is guided by self-centric and matter-centric philosophy, unlike Prout, which is God-centric philosophy. In case of capitalism, production system is individualistic, monopolistic. Monopolies are there, monopolies of the MNCs or group of individuals or companies. But Prout's main social structure is cooperative. The capitalistic leaderships are immoral, corrupt. We see in the democratic capitalistic system, the leaders are corrupt, immoral, and by hook or by crook, they would like to just enjoy the political power. But Prout's leadership will be Sadvipras, whose life is based on Jama and Niyama, the 10 cardinal principles of human beings. Spiritual values in case of capitalistic, they actually promote dogmatic religious beliefs, unlike true spirituality promoted by Prout. Again, this capitalism divides the humanity like poor and rich, but in Prout, all resources are meant for everybody. So human society is here one and indivisible. Again, distribution of resources in case of capitalism, as you know, that is unequal, and concentration of wealth is with capitalists. And Prout advocates rational distribution, as we have already seen. Development strategy in case of, again, the capitalistic outlook is physical enjoyment, unlike the development of all state of human existence in Prout. Incentives for production, it is exploitative. The capitalism exploits everything, and this capitalism has presented to us the polluted air, the polluted environment, and the polluted mind. But our Prout to reverse quality, it is not exploitative. Society under capitalistic outlook degenerates, and capitalism promotes pseudo culture. In the name of culture, it promotes pseudo culture. But society in Prout is progressive. Development strategy in case of capitalistic society is exploitative, pollutes and depletes all natural resources. But Proutistic outlook, it is sustainable. It is a sustainable system. Economic planning in case of capitalism, it is top to bottom. Something is planned in the air-conditioned chambers in Delhi or capital of the various countries of the world, and it is percolated at the grassroots level, and almost nothing reaches at the grassroots level. But in Prout, the planning model is a bottom-up model. We'll also discuss it in detail later on. Now, Prout's approach is that Prout will guarantee the minimum requirements for all human beings of the world, and it gives guarantee for special amenities for the people with special qualities, unlike communism. Prout promotes quality, as I have mentioned. And again, this quality, when quality people having quality, they will be given certain extra. Again, Proud will see that the gap between the persons having quality and those who do not possess so much quality, the gap should not be maximum. Unless there will be tendency to minimize the gap. It will be never ending endeavor to minimize this gap, but there will be a gap because we have to promote quality in the society. Otherwise, production will suffer. I will not discuss much about this because last week one of our speakers, Chetan Verma, has deliberated on this aspect that Proud's philosophy is quadro-dimensional. It has 4 aspects: people's economy, which is a new edition by Anandamurtijii in the economic field of economy. Then psycho-economy, again it is new edition by Anandamurtijii, general economy and commercial economy. Today we know our economists, they deal with general economy and commercial economy, but our economists are silent about psycho-economy, though they know the aspects of psycho-economy. The example of psycho-economy is that we go to the shopping malls, and many commodities are actually they are displayed, and people, what they do, out of nothing, out of greed or just circumstantial pressure, they purchase something which is not at all required or essential for them. So it is mental exploitation, and the capitalists actually, they are thriving by displaying all these non-essential goods. So it is psycho-economy, and psycho-economy will also deal with how exploitation occurs at various levels. It is not only religious exploitation, or it is not only economic exploitation at all spheres of human existence, culture, language, and whatnot. And people's economy, it will deal with all the basic amenities of life. I am not dealing much because it was discussed by Mr. Verma, Chetan Verma, last week. Another specialty of our Proud economy is that Proud advocates job for everybody, guaranteed job, employment for each and every individual of the society by promoting balanced economy. By balanced economy, Anandamurtijii wants to say that if 100 people are there in a society, then on the agriculture, 40% should be engaged. 40% is 30 to 40% of the total population should be dependent on agriculture. But if you see the Indian scenario, more than 70% people are directly or indirectly involved in agriculture. So India can never be a developed country. It will ever remain underdeveloped country, come what may. It will never be, because it is totally unscientific. If the concentration or pressure of people on the land is more, the country will never prosper. So Proud advocates that 30 to 40% of the population should be engaged in agriculture. Then industry, what type of industry? Many people say that industry lao, industry karo, both job aayega. But what type of industry? If you go for technology-based industries or machine, where machines are involved, so that type of industry will not give us a job. Our youths will not get a job. So Proud advocates that our agro-based industries, industries for agriculture, crops, from agricultural crops, we can go for many industries. So in agro-based industries, 20% of the population should be engaged. Then agri industries, to go for agriculture, we need power tiller, we need tractors and other farm implements. So we can go for this type of industries. These are agri industries. And agri industries, we can engage 20% of our population. The small business enterprises, very small enterprises, small shops, tea stalls, and others like motorcycle repairing shops, garage. These are the small enterprises which are complex in nature, and it can be managed by individuals. So 10% of the total population may be engaged in this small scale in enterprises. And job, 10% people should be in job. Actually, all people will be in job, either in agriculture sector or agro-based industries. Then again, another type of industry will be the non-agro-based industries like steel plant, chemical fertilizer and all. So these non-agro-based industries, here engagement of the people should be vary from 20 to 30%. Now, where from this 20 and 30% will come? We'll reduce certain pressure, certain percents will take from agriculture. Maybe it is 30, maybe it is 20, it may be 20. So from 3 segments of the economy, agriculture, agro-based industries and agri industries, from there we'll make up 20 to 30% in non-agro-based industries. Now again, if this ratio goes below 20%, the country becomes a less industrialist country. And if it goes beyond 30, then it becomes over industrialized country, and there will be no takers for finished goods. Well, that is exactly happening in our India for car manufacturing units. Again, Proud advocates economic democracy. Proud says that economy should be decentralized, it should be at the disposal of the people, and political power should be centralized. Now, economic decentralization or economic democracy, for this to realize, we have to have the minimum requirements of life for all people. Next, that we have to increase the purchasing power, and purchasing power of the people should be guaranteed, and it should be increased on a continuous basis. Third is that the power to make all economic decisions must be based at the disposal of the local people. The outsiders should not poke in the local economy, and they should be strictly prevented from interfering in the local economy. And outsider means the people. I will also discuss this aspect in detail a little bit later. That outsider means in a self-sufficient socio-economic zones, the people in a particular socio-economic zone who have merged their socio-economic interest with the socio-economic interest zone, those people are called local people, and beyond that all people are outsiders. So outsiders should not be involved in any economic activity of a socio-economic zone. Then economic planning, as I told, that Proud advocates decentralized economic planning, and here Proud will go for a bottom to top approach, bottom up approach. Here inter and intra-block planning will be there, and this planning will be based on the physical features of the area like river valleys, climatic conditions, topography of the land, nature of the soil, type of flora and fauna. Then also it will depend on the socio-economic requirements and problems of the people, and also their physico-psychic aspirations, what they need actually, what type of infrastructure they need. The local people actually will decide all these things. So economic planning in Proudistic system will be decentralized, totally decentralized. And if required, this political block system may be reorganized based on these various parameters. Now again, industry will be again decentralized. Last time, Dr. Pratitya Babu Das from Ravenshaw University, he discussed in detail about this, that in Proud there will be 3 types of industries. Key industries, very big industries, which will be run by and managed by the government, immediate government. Then there will be small business enterprises managed by individuals, and then the major part or main sector of the economy will be cooperatives, whether it is agriculture, trade, business, whatever it is. Cooperative will be the main aspect or main sector of our Proudistic economy. And cooperative, to become successful, it requires moral leadership, strong administrative supervision, and the acceptance of the cooperative advantages by the local people. We have to make the people aware about the advantages of cooperative system. And Proud's economy, the backbone of Proudistic economy is the cooperatives, various cooperatives in various sectors. Now, capitalism, as we know, that now the government all over the world and India, they are promoting SEZ, the special economic zones. What happens in the special economic zones? The government is giving them tax benefits and other infrastructural benefits, and the companies are coming, they are establishing industries. But if you see that very less number of our youths, they are getting jobs in those industries, and it is not going to solve the unemployment problems of our country. Proud advocates self-sufficient socio-economic zones. SSEZ, it is not SEZ, special economic zones, but Proud advocates special self-sufficient socio-economic zones, and these special economic zones will be formed on the basis of 5 parameters: same economic problems, uniform economic potentialities of a particular area, similar geographical features, land topography and all, ethnic similarity, the people should be in the same ethnic group or same language, culture, etc. Then sentimental legacy of the people, common sentimental legacy. So these aspects, based on these aspects, Proud advocates the development of self-sufficient socio-economic zones. And for India, Proud advocates 44 SSEZ, and for entire world, Proud advocates 265 self-sufficient socio-economic zones. And when these zones will grow in magnitude, then they will be merged together. So Proud also advocates globalization, but first localization, local self-sufficiency, then globalization, unlike imposed globalization on us. Then income tax policy. As you know that all of us, we have to pay a heavy income tax. As a result, what happens in India? People has a general tendency to evade income tax, to hoard black money, or to siphon off the money to other Swiss banks and other banks. As a result, our economy suffers. So Proud advocates abolition of income tax. Now the question comes, then how the government will run, how the infrastructural and other facilities will be created by the immediate government. So Proud says that if the excess duty of the commodities is increased by only 10%, then there will be no loss of the government revenues. Further, there will be no tax evasion and nobody will try to accumulate black money, all money will be white money. And this white money will circulate in the local economy or economy of the country, and there will be increase in trade and commerce, there will be more investment, more employment, and improvement in the position of foreign exchange. That's why Anandamurtijii advocates that intellectuals should demand for abolition of income tax. It is not required. Banking system in Proudistic system, it will be run by cooperatives, unlike the capitalistic banks, which are run by private individuals. And what happens for the banks? You know that all of a sudden a good person snatches or takes away all the money and goes abroad, and ultimately the common mass has to make up all those losses. It happens in our with many banks in India. And money in our Proudistic banking system will be always on roll. And Anandamurtiji's basic thing is that one economic principle is that if the money keeps on rolling, then there will be no inflation and purchasing power of the people will increase. So Proud will always, and Proudistic bank will always see to it that money is on the roll. It always moves from one hand to other hand. But in capitalistic society, you know, people are having thousand crores, lakhs and crores of rupees, concentration of the wealth. That's why capitalistic societies, capitalistic countries are suffering from huge inflation, less purchasing power, the poverty, unemployment, and whatnot, all type of degeneration of the common mass. Proud economy, actually, it is our banks will run on the basis of no profit, no loss. Unlike the capitalistic banks, they go for money, earning more profits. And the Proudistic bank will be it will be the integral part of our people's economy. It will see the welfare of the people. Unlike the capitalists, they go for the extraction of the common mass and of the money at the hand of few individuals. And for international trade, Proud advocates the barter system. We'll give maybe wheat to the countries who are other countries who are producing maximum. Maybe other crops will be importing, and we'll be exporting other crops. So there will be barter system, not foreign exchange. It will be based on the crops or commodities. So as a result, what will happen? There will be less trade deficit in international trade, and there will be less conflict of interest, like China and India or China and USA. We are experiencing the trade deficit will not be there if we go for barter system in the international scenario. Then again, as I was discussing that leadership, how Proud will evolve the leadership, because today's crisis is a leadership crisis. Today, every country is suffering from true leaders, lack of true leaders. Now here, Pierre Sarkar, he gave one good concept of social cycle. He says that based on the mentality, the people can be categorized into four groups: Shudra, Kshatriya, Vipra, and Vaishya. Shudra means the worker class. They don't have any ambition and all. They are very happy with their minimal existence of life. Kshatriyas, they are warriors mentality, and Vipra means intellectuals, and Vaishya means the capitalists, the businessmen. Sarkar says that this revolution of the various ages will come. Kshatriya, Vipra, and Vaishya, this era will come one after another. And when in a particular era, suppose in Kshatriya era, Kshatriya dominates, they will exploit others, Vipra, Vaishya, and Shudra. Now in India, in many countries, Vaishya era is going on. So Vaishyas, what they adopt many strategies. They purchase the intellectuals. In the boisterous era, there will be scientific advancement at the disposal of the boisterous exploitation, Bipro's exploitation. The boisterous take the help of the Bipras for scientific advancement and all, and they will give some rewards, something, some positions, name, fame, and the intellectuals will be very happy with all these awards and name and fame, and they will not revolt or tell anything about the boisterous exploitation. And boisterous are enjoying this scenario for long. So the time has come that the humanity is eagerly waiting for another Kshatriya era or Vipra era. Anytime it will come. But the problem will not solve. Exploitation will never will never be abolished. So Sarkar here says that the Sadvipras will be at the center of the cycle, social cycle. Who are the Sadvipras? They are physically fit, mentally strong, and spiritually elevated, who are established in Jama and Niyama, and they will have the trait of all the classes. They will serve as Shudras, Kshatriya, Vipro, and Vaishya. All qualities they will have, and there will be the benevolent dictatorship of the Sadvipras. And when Sadvipra will occupy the leadership position, all types of exploitation from the society will vanish in no time. And the Sadvipra's outlook, social philosophy, will be based on neo-humanism. Like neo-humanism means we have to increase our mental propensities, mental pebulam, like ego, then I exist, then I am associated with my family, then geo sentiment, I belong to West Bengal or maybe a particular state, or I am from India or from a particular country, and promote nationalism. Or they may go beyond a certain level, internationalism, but not beyond that. Or if they go certain up to more, if they cross the more periphery, then they may go for human sentiment, that we are for all human beings are equal. But proud is for all, both animate and inanimate. This circular love, when it is increased, and all the animate and inanimate aspects of human existence comes within the human pebulum, that it becomes neo-humanism. And our Sadvipras will be guided by the neo-humanistic social outlook, and they will bring the permanent welfare of the society. Now, how to go for a just and benevolent society? It should be based on the following factors. Number one is that there should be 100% employment for all the local people, and maximum industrial development like agro-based industries, agri-based industries, non-agro-based industries, etc. Then local language should be the medium of instruction everywhere, and local language, it should be the primary means of communication. And local socio-economic demands, like if somewhere bridge construction is required or irrigation facilities are to be provided. So all these things should be locally met. And free education for all students up to the highest degree, university level. Education should be free for all, and guaranteed employment for all youths after education. Irrigation facilities for all the farmers, and cheaper rations for all essential commodities. The essential commodities means food, clothing, shelter, medicine, education. These should be granted and provided for all the laborers. Then only we can move towards a just and benevolent society. Now, if we can establish the benevolent society, then exploitation we can remove from the world by diminishing the economic disparity among these self-sufficient socio-economic zones. As I was telling, that Proud will first make the various zones, various regions of the world self-sufficient in all aspect, and then when the various self-sufficient socio-economic zones, they will make one group, maybe like ASEAN or SAARC. These are all political groups, but Proud groups will be based on economic democracy. And then disparities of the various zones or countries will be minimized, and there will be a lot of development in science and communication. And with the help of the communication ICT technology, the entire world has now become a global village, and we can take this opportunity for accelerated development of human mind and human society. Then there will be more administrative efficiency and socio-cultural mixing of the people. As and when people will mix cross-culturally, then definitely their mind will be broadened. All these geo-sentiments, narrow sentiments will be abolished. And then we can hope for an exploitation-free world. And Proud advocates, ultimately Proud advocates world government. Sadvipras, they have to work for all countries, for all round liberation of all human beings. In the first phase, the government of different countries will have only administrative power. So when all the countries will have administrative power, they will not poke in the day-to-day affairs of the country. Only they will run the manage the show. but they will not have any policy making decisions and other things. So they cannot persecute a certain group of the society. So for a world government, Anandamurtijii says, PR Sarkar says that in the first phase, the different countries will have only administrative power. Then there will be two houses, lower house and upper house. In the lower house, representatives will be representatives in the lower house, but again they will be given representation in the upper house. In upper house, representation will be country wise. So each and every country, whether it's small or big country, it will be represented. Unlike our UNO, United Nations organizations, you have seen that many countries of the world are not only 5 permanent members are there, all are temporary members, and then they don't have any say in that, any say for economic whatever it is, and for the entire world. So, but in Proudistic world government, the upper house will be represented by all the countries, by the smaller big. Then bills first it will be introduced in the lower house, and then upper house it will be discussed. Then upper house will never bypass the lower house. If there is a conflict of difference of opinion or conflict, then of course the upper house decision will prevail. But they have to discuss, and the bills first should be passed by the lower house. So that is the blueprint given by Sri Anandamurtijii. And the benefits of this world government will be what will happen? The less militia will be there, and less expenses on all this war preparedness, and this money can be utilized for welfare of the people. Then human beings will be saved from psychic tension. There will be less bloodshed based on the pseudo culture and other differences. There will be free movement of people from one corner of the globe to the other. Then there will be board of Sadbipras. As I told, that it will be group of Sadbipras who will run the administration and all the aspects of the society. And there will be many boards of the Sadbipras, the Supreme Board, the Legislative Board, the Executive Board, the Judicial Board, and other sub-boards for various branches of administration. So that way, a world government will be established. And definitely, to run the world government, there will be world constitution. And Anandamurtijii has advocated Neo Magna Carta. First thing is that complete security should be guaranteed to all plants and animals on the planet based on neo-humanism. We cannot just vanish. We cannot just destroy all the plant kingdoms and animal kingdoms. They have equal right to survive on this planet Earth. So Neo Magna Carta of proud advocates the guaranteed security for all plants and animals of the planet on the planet. Each country must guarantee purchasing power to all its citizens, irrespective of their caste, creed, and color. The constitution should guarantee 4 fundamental rights. First, spiritual practice, dharma, cultural legacy, education, and indigenous linguistic expression. This must be guaranteed by the constitution, world government constitution. If the practice, however, if the practice of these rights conflicts with cardinal human values, then the practice should be immediately curtailed. That is, cardinal human values must take precedence over all other rights. And what do we mean by human cardinal principles? Anandamurtijii says that first cardinal human principle is that no person should be forced to leave his or her job without making alternate arrangement for his or her livelihood. Second human cardinal principle is that forceful conversion from one religion to another must not be done. And third cardinal principle is that no language of the world should be suppressed. And if there is a conflict between this human cardinal principle and one constitution, the human cardinal principles will prevail. Now on my last slide, the question comes, who will bring proud? I quote Sri Anandamurtijii. Today, I earnestly request all rational, spiritual, moral, fighting people to build a Sadbipra society without any further delay. Sadbipras will have to work for all countries, for the all-round liberation of all human beings. The downtrodden people of this persecuted world look to the eastern horizon, eagerly waiting their advent. Let the blackness of the new moonlight be lifted from the path of the downtrodden. Let the new human beings of a new day wake up to a new sunrise in a new world. See, Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar. So, I would like to thank our chairperson, all the participants for patiently hearing my deliberation. Thank you very much. And I would like to request people, our participants, to read books written by Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar on proud, like there is a book on an outline of proud by Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar. With this, I conclude. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Correct. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your nice deliberation and a very comprehensive illustration on PROUD, the Progressive Utilization Theory. Now we have our next speaker, Professor Lakshmikant Padhi from North Bengal University, head of the Department of Philosophy. Now I would like to announce one good news for him also officially that sir has recently, got the position of professor. So on behalf of Renaissance Universal, we congratulate you, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
We all congratulate
He
him.
has given.
We
Thank you. Thank
congratulate
you, sir. Thank you. With your blessing,
Yes.
sir.
So sir is
Sada
really very busy. So sir, please start. Sir, please start.
So cheerful. You are looking so cheerful.
Sirajullah, thank you. Thank you.
Now, Professor Padhi, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Sadasiva Samarambham Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Bande Guru Parampara. Respected Professor S.R. Bhatt, sir. Respected Professor Sirajul Islam. Respected Professor Gopal Chandra Mishra ji, who happened to be the executive council member of our university during my registrarship, and respected Swamiji and my co-speakers and participants who have joined today. I can find a lot of my students who have joined, and some students, because of some network problem, they left this program. First of all, I beg an unconditional apology for not being able to participate. For last 2 months, Swamiji has organized a lot of programs in this platform, but I was suffering from COVID-19 positive. That's why I was not being able to participate in this web platform program. That's why I beg an unconditional apology. But anyway, what I'm going to speak today is what is the contribution of Anandamurtijii to the society in the form of neo-humanism. How Anandamurti considers neo-humanism as a basic or fundamental concept for universal acceptance of this world. Basically, if you go to Anandamurti's philosophy, in 1982, Anandamurtijii extended his writing on the subject of human society with the introduction of his new theory of neo-humanism. And Anandamurtijii understands neo-humanism as a liberation of intellect. Now, liberation, we cannot translate liberation as mukti or moksha. There is a distinction between mukti and moksha. We cannot translate liberation as moksha. But for the time being, for the sake of understanding, we occasionally translate it. But this is the problem in translating the original Sanskrit word or term into English. Once we try to translate, the original meaning of the Sanskrit word is lost. And that is the most problematic translation which is happening now all over the world. So when we are talking about liberation of intellect, what does it mean by Anandamurti? Anandamurti, if he says, if humanism tends to contemplate only humans in a human-centric view, according to Anandamurti's theory, is instead the elevation of humanism to universalism. Look, the word he has used here, human-centric view. I mean, human is the center who controls everything. But here, what Anandamurti understands about this human-centric word, it has a negative term. It has also a positive understanding. If we consider it as from the negative perspective, we can say that human controls everything. But Anandamurti does not understand in this way. He says it is human intellect which accommodate with any kind of adversary situation, just like Darwinian theory of evolution. When Darwin talks about the survival of the species, he is not saying that those who are stronger or superior, they will dominate the inferior. Because the survival of the fittest concept is presently misunderstood and misinterpreted. What Darwin means to say is that those who have the superior capacity, they can accommodate with any kind of adversary situation. This is the point which Anandamurti gives emphasis. This is the point which Anandamurti emphasizes. This Anandamurti said that when the underlying spirit of humanism is extended to everything, animate and inanimate, in this universe, I have designated this as neo-humanism. Neo-humanism is not only it does not talk about only the interest and the future of human. It talks about the future and the present and the past of non-human entities. That's why in environmental philosophy there is a concept called anthropocentrism. Anandamurti is not using this anthropocentrism as a negative term, but a positive term. But in environmental philosophy, anthropocentrism is always used as a negative term, because it is human beings who are rational. It was all started from Greek civilization to till today, passing from Immanuel Kant to the postmodern thinkers who talks about ism, postmodernism. Every kind of ism is a theory, and ism is a kind of domination. That's why Anandamurti's this neo-humanism is a form of neo-humanism which is inclusive. It is inclusive because it includes everything, every entity. And that's why in the first sloka of Ishopanishad says that Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kinchit yagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gritha kashva siddhanam. We have to do tyaga, then only we can go for bhoga. Without tyag, we cannot. I mean, if without sacrifice, without renunciation, we cannot consume. First, we have to renounce it. Then only we can consume. First, we have to tyag. We have to do tyaga. Then only we can go for bhoga. So, what Anandamurti is understanding that this kind of neo-humanism will elevate humanism to universalism. This universalism concept is Vishwa Bhatrutva or Vishwa Bandhutva. And this universalism concept is very much accepted by Swami Vivekananda. And there is regarding Vivekananda, one Swamiji, I think Swami Radha, let me just a minute. I'm sorry, I'm taking just 1 minute time because I have to quote one Swamiji's quotation here, that how this universalism is a kind of universal brotherhood depicted by Swami Vivekananda. Yeah, it is Swami Ramakrishnananda who talks about a quotation who talks about Vivekananda. He says, "Anitya drusyesu viviccha nityam tasmin samadhata ihasma leelaya yasoho viveki tamaham namami." I mean, in this manifold world, there is something which is nityam or unchanging. It is easy for him to go for samadhi or to merge into that eternal reality. Because tasmin samadhata ihasma lilaya yasoho viveki tamaham namami. That viveki I salute, who can separate the sand and sugar, the milk and water. That viveka, that's why Vivekananda, that viveka means one we can discriminate with each other, which one is eternal, which one is nitya, and which one is anitya. Because we can find that while going for Advaita Vedanta, there is a concept, if somebody is eligible for Advaita Vedanta, to read Advaita Vedanta, he must have some sadhana chatushtaya. And that sadhana, one of the sadhana chatushtaya, sadhana is Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveda Viveka. So that's why Vivekananda has a great concept of that universalism within him. That's why I quote here the quotation from Swami Ramakrishnananda. Then what Swami Anandamurtiji is talking about, this neo-humanism will elevate humanism to universalism. And that universalism is the cult of love for all created beings of this universe. Neo-humanism is said to prefer to existential value over utility, value for all living beings. And Anandamurti's neo-humanism places great emphasis on rationality. It is not that we should have a biased or partial love or partial kind of affection towards all entity. We have to be lovable. We have to, our attitude towards all the entities should be impartial, should be rational. That's why the concept of viveka comes here. And a process of this kind of this emphasis on rationality, and encourages what he calls proto-spiritual mentality, a process of continually recognizing each object with which we come in contact externally, and both externally and internally, as a manifestation of the supreme consciousness or Brahman. According to Anandamurti, rationality helps to give rise to devotion, which he considers to be the highest and most valuable treasure of humanity. This rationality, viveka, or we can say that vichar buddhi sampannata, that viveka or vichar buddhi sampannata is because we have that sampannata, vichar buddhi sampannata, that's why we have devotion or bhakti. That bhakti towards all the entities is unconditional, nisartha. It is unconditional, just like the categorical imperative of Immanuel Kant. In Anandamurti's view, neo-humanism leads to the liberation of human intellect from the constraints of imposed dogma and psychic complexes, helping to bridge the gap between the inner and the outer world. We have a antaratma and we have a bahiratma. That relationship between the two, because of this rationality, makes us neo-humanistic. And this is Anandamurti's view about neo-humanism. He also talks about how culture plays a role in neo-humanism. When actually, in his series of discourses, Talk on Proud, Dr. Biswajit Bhaumik was talking beautifully about the importance and implementation of Proud just before me. And when in his series of discourses, Talks on Proud, even in Ranchi in July 1961, Anandamurti makes a distinction between the terms culture and custom, Sanskriti and Parampara. According to Anandamurti, culture is the collective name for different expression of life, Sanskriti. And if you go to Vivek Devrayji, the economic advisor of our Prime Minister of India, once he says that it is Prakriti, that's why it is Sanskriti. Because of Prakriti, there is Sanskriti. And because of Sanskriti, there is Sabhyata. Without that Prakriti, no Sanskriti or no Prakriti can be evolved. Then, according to Anandamurti, culture is the collective name of different expression of life, but all of society has the same culture. There are local variations in the mode of state of culture expression, but the expression is universal. Here, this universal expression of culture is the fundamental turning or the turning point of neo-humanism, according to Anandamurti. These local variations are called, and what is about custom? According to Anandamurti, there are local variations in the mode of state of cultural expression, but the expression is universal. These local variations are called customs. So, if culture is a whole set, custom is a subset in that whole set. and thus local modes of expressing bearing local or group specialities are customs, but the expression itself is culture. Therefore, it is a mistake to readjust boundaries on the basis of language and culture. Therefore, it is a mistake to readjust boundaries on the basis of language and culture. And Indian culture and the culture of the world are one and the same according to Anandamurti. But here he is talking from a neo-humanistic point of view. But world culture and Indian culture, I think they are not one. They are not one and all. Human beings' attitude towards customs or tradition may be different, but we all human beings are same with our rationality. Our rationality makes us much more cultured. Our rationality makes us much more customary. And the philosophy of Anandamurti reinterprets the general concept of culture by inserting into a new universalistic outlook. And Antonello Megipinto once, I want to quote here Antonello Megipinto, what he understands about culture. If the term culture is usually referred to the original meaning of the word, then Anandamurti offers a new point of view with a large universalistic explanation. The culture of the whole human race is one. The culture of whole Manav Jati is one, but marked by different local manifestations. But every culture has its local manifestation. Culture is one, but manifestations are many. Like Ekam Syad Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. It is the same but varying expressions. In 1987, Anandamurti is referring to Antonello Megipinto. Our culture is one, but our interpretation and understanding of that culture is many. Just like if there are 100 pots under the sun rays having full of water, if you look at to one pot, each and every pot you can see the sun. That does not mean that sun are many. Sun is one, but the reflection of the interpretations are many. That's why I said Ekam Sad Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. Let me come to one point which I want to say about Anandamurti. That is, I think I have given my contribution to Swamiji for publication. That point, moral philosophy of Anandamurti. That point which I want to refer here. Look, Anandamurti developed neo-humanism by bringing in spiritual, economic, social, scientific, ecological, and moral themes to create a long-term view of human progress. Anandamurti was basically he has a futuristic vision. He was not talking about what will be the future of tomorrow or 1 day after 10 years. He was talking about a long-standing overview about our future society. That's why his neo-humanism is a conglomeration of spiritual, economic, social, scientific, ecological, and moral themes. And he conglomerated everything. That conglomeration is the interpretation of neo-humanism according to Anandamurti. And his philosophy on love, Anandamurti's philosophy on love and respect for all things and beings, and the concept of freedom, equality, and justice form a new social order, a moral society. If we are rational, if we have a love or sympathy to all, then only we can go for a possible of the moral society. This neo-humanistic approach of Anandamurti creates a moral society. Because let me come to my conclusion. What Anandamurti was talking about, the same thing was there in Mahabharata. Even if you are in our Niti Shastra. If you go to Yaksha Parva of Mahabharata, then Yaksha is asking a question that who is a good man and who is a bad man in the society. Yaksha asked Yudhishthir, Krodho sudurjaya satru, lobho vyadhi anantaka, sarva bhuta hita sadhu, asadhu nirdaya smruta. Who is the enemy of man, difficult to conquer? What is the endless disease? What is the nature of a good man and what is the nature of a bad man? Then Yudhishthir replies to the question of Yaksha. Yudhishthir answers that anger is the enemy of man, difficult to conquer. Krodho sudur jaya satru. Greed is the endless desire. Lobhar vyadhi anantaka. A good man is one who seeks welfare of all beings. Sarva bhuta hita sadhu. A bad man is one who is no compassion or mercy. Asadhu nirdaya smrutaha. A bad man is a person who does not have any love or compassion or sympathy towards all living beings. He or she is a bad person. Who is a good person? Who has compassion and love and respect towards all. This is the new humanistic concept developed by Swami Anandamurtiji. Because I personally believe that Lobho mulani papani sankatani tathaivacha lobhat pravartate vairam ati lobhat vinasyati. It is greed. Greed and greed is the cause of sin. Greed is the cause of calamity. Greed gives rise to enmity. And because greed destroys a person. That's why let me quote a beautiful line by given by Mahatma Gandhi, who says that nature has everything to satisfy the need of human being, not the greed of human being. This is the quotation given by Mahatma Gandhi, which is very much contemplated in the present world in the form of sustainable development. And Anandamurti was talking about this concept of greed, the concept of neo-humanistic approach, long time in 1960 or 1970s. That's why Anandamurti's neo-humanistic approach is very relevant, very significant in the present society to understand the relationship between man with the world, human being with the society, and man with a man with his family, and man with a community. Because we believe in Vishwa Bandhutva, and Anandamurti's contribution to neo-humanistic approach is just like similar with Vivekananda, who talks about Vishwa Bandhutva. And that Vishwa Bandhutva that can be emphasized. That can be you can say that about a lot. But who is a Vishwa Bandhu according to Vivekananda? I can quote here the beautiful point. There are basically 5. Who is a Sakha? Who is a Bandhu? If we go to the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, we can find that Sakha or Bandhu refers to a male friend, a companion or an attendant. There are 4 types of Sakhas or Braja according to Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which are as follows. At that 4 interpretation of the Sakha or Bandhu, let me go one by one. It is Sri Hrida or Suhrida refers to those whose friendship is mixed with a scent of parental mood, who are slightly older than Krishna, who bears a staff and other weapons, and who always protect Krishna from demons like Subhadra or Mandalibhadra or Balabhadra. Secondly, Sakha refers to those whose friendship is mixed with a scent of servitorship, who are slightly younger than Krishna and who are exclusively attached to the happiness or rendering service to him, like Vishala, Vrishabha, and Devaprastha. Priyasakha refers to those who are of the same age as Krishna and take the exclusive shelter of the attitude of friendship, that is Sudama. or Stoko Krishna or Sri Dama. Then Priya Narma Sakha. I mean, Suhruda, Sakha, Priya Sakha, and Priya Narma Sakha. Priya Narma Sakha refers to superior in every way to the three other types of Sakha. They are engaged in extremely confidential services and possesses a very special mood such as Subala, Ujjwala, and Madhumangal. Now these are the four kinds of Sakha which is interpreted, which is depicted in Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj in a beautiful way. So this kind of Sakha, if we understand Vishwabandhu Bandhutva or Vishwabhatutva by referring to this four kind of Sakha, then only we can establish a good relationship with our society, good relationship with human being, and good relationship with our community. With these few words, I am just stopping here. Thank you, and thank you for listening to me patiently. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your beautiful explanation on universalism in the light of New Humanism, who is Vishwabandhu, a real friend in our life. So we are enriched with your valuable talk. Just one request to our chairperson. Sir, one question was there for Pradhi sir from Tripura University, Dr. Pranay Dev. So shall I take this question? Shall I read out? I'm asking to his chairperson.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, you may take.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. So I'm just going to read out the question from Tripura University, Dr. Pranay Dev. To
Yes.
Pati sir, in spite of having great ideals in our mind and love to teach those to our fellows, why do we as an individual tend to be immoral in our practical day-to-day life, but pretend ourselves as a more rational and moral person than anyone else?
Yeah. Beautiful.
This is question to Pati sir.
This question provokes us to go to a philosophical insight. Look, we human beings are rational, but we human beings are also emotional. Without rationality, our emotion is always supported by our rationality. It is only human being who knows the distinction between good and bad, love and hate. An animal does not, because there is a distinction between pravriti and nivriti. What the pravriti says is what the pravriti prohibits, the nivriti attracts. So this distinction between good and bad is a reflection of our rationality. But even if we are rational beings, we pretend ourselves to be more rational but more moral than anyone else. See, pretension is not coming under the purview of rationality. Pretension is not coming under the purview of emotional attitude. If you are pretending something, that means you are not rational. If you are emotional, your emotion is always reflected by your rationality. That's why you use your rationality, because you human being are rational. And Kant, if you go to Immanuel Kant, he says that it is only human beings are rational, autonomous entities. Autonomous. We are not. A human being is not suppressed by external factors. It is his will. It is his goodwill that creates good things in the society. That's why we pretend ourselves as more rational or more moral, but pretension does not. Once you pretend, means your rationality or emotionality does not reflect on your action, because it is said that nobody is an enemy or nobody is a friend from the bar. Vyavaharena yayante mitrani ripavastatha. It is your vyavahara that makes you an enemy or a friend. Then only, because it is vyavahar, it is your vyavahara, or it is your attitude, it is your good conduct towards anything, towards any entity, or towards human being or an inanimate or animate, that makes you that. Without, nobody is an enemy or nobody is a friend from the time of war. It is our karma, it is our behavior that makes us an enemy or a good friend. Thank you.
I hope Dr. Pranay Dev, he has got his answer. So thank you, sir. And so actually, there, in spite of we are lacking some good ideology in our life, in our society. Our society is lacking a sound ideology. This is true. And people are searching for a good ideology, but a balanced or integrated ideology is missing, really. So we should think the ideology that will guide us both at the physical level, in the mental level, and at the spiritual level in a harmonious way. So this is really essential. So thank you for the question, for raising this issue also, or for bringing this issue into our webinar. So thank you very much. And now I would request our another speaker, senior professor, Professor Sirajul Islam. Sir, can you hear me? Professor Sirajul Islam from Vishwabharati.
Yes, yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are clearly audible. So I will request you to speak your topic.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunandita Bhomik. Respected Professor S.R. Bhatt, Chief Guest of today's session, Honorable Chairperson of this session, Professor Gopal Chandra Mishra-ji, Professor Lakshmikant Upadhyay, Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik, Professor Giri, Professor Sutapa Roy, distinguished speakers, audience, brothers and sisters. Really, it is a matter of great pleasure in associating me in these learned gatherings where our Honorable Professor S.R. Bhatt is the chief guest of today's session, and really I am largely benefited by the sayings of Professor Bhatt. It is not only his sayings, but the message towards the humanity. So that helps us to be a good human being and also a real philosopher. Since few days or few months, I have delivered some lectures, and whenever I am studying different writings of Shrii Anandamurtijii, I am really astonishing and realizing about myself that I am so small. It is not possible to me to discuss all aspects of his versatile personality. We have made a laudable mark in the various aspects of human endeavor, and various topics we have discussed since few days. Whenever I was reading his Ananda Sutram, one sloka particularly struck in my mind. Sloka number, chapter 3, sloka number 4, page number 185 of Ananda Sutram. Mano vikarthi vipako apekkhita sanskaro. That is, mano vikarthi changing state of mind, vipako, that means reaction, apekshikata, that means potentiality, and from where sanskaro evolved. So these terms, manovikarthi, changing state of mind. The notion of mind will have to apprehend first. Then the term vipako. Vipako means reaction, which interpreted by Shrii Anandamurtijii. And apekshikata, that is the potentiality. And sanskaro, that is the reaction. What is the philosophy behind it? The philosophy is that the new aspect of Shrii Anandamurtiji's philosophy, that he has integrated between physical, mental and spiritual aspects of human being. In his eyes, spirituality not only an alienation from the society. His notion of spirituality is not only the dissociation of or disaffirmation of bodily existence. Rather, he integrated body, mind and soul, and his spirituality is much more pragmatic rather than the alienation from the society. So whenever he is talking about the manovikarthi vipako apekshita sanskaro, here it is very important that Brahma, that is Saguna Brahma, is the source of all creation. And Nirguna Brahma is not the creation of anything. We, the finite entity, unable to understand the supreme power or infiniteness of Brahma. That is the Nirguna aspect of Brahma. However, Saguna aspect is the source of our creation. But creation is impossible without material. So, only the existence of material things will not create anything until we can transform it. So, for the transformation or evolution of material object, suppose Anu and Paramanus, atom and molecules, or the association of different atoms, that is the Danuko, Trosoro, then the material objects. So, the association and dissociation is in the mind of the Supreme Consciousness, Brahma, Brahma Chetana Sarupa. That is the mind of Brahma. Everything is in there. But how far these are scientific? Shrii Anandamurtijii is saying that generally we are talking about, and scientists are basically confined their scientific discoveries and invention and experiments only material objects. But the existence of mind was affirmed by the scientist after due course in affirming the existence of material object. Once upon a time, they were refrained themselves from the existence of mind. But later on, they were bound to accept the existence of mind. And that is much more scientific. They have analyzed. Because Onu and Paramanu's, their association and dissociation is quite impossible without the consciousness. We can channelize it. Only conscious mind can channelize them for the construction. Otherwise, it will be in the distraction, engaged in severe distraction. So, the creation of this universe, and there is the continuous laws and principles, and there the systematic orders of this universe generally presupposes the existence of a supreme mind. But this supreme mind is not isolated, completely isolated from the physical existence. Because mind will be inactive, or the phenomenal mind cannot create anything without the association of our physic or material object or body. That's why human being, body, mind and soul, that is the physical, mental and spiritual combination, that is very astonishing combination of the supreme consciousness. In this chapter, there is sloka number, Ananda Sutram, chapter 3, sloka number 2, is depicting the idea concerning the mono, that is the monovikarthi, that is the changing of mind. Now, what is the dispositions and changing of mind is possible. That's why the sloka chapter number 3 and sloka 2 depicted the idea that saptaloka atmakam brahmamana. Very important aspect and much more scientific. And it has this notion impregnant in our age-old scriptures, Veda, where saptaloka atmakam brahmamana. That is the saptaloko. The mind of Brahma is composed of 7 layers. 7 layers. There are different layers of minds. There are different layers of our universe. And that is still recognized by the scientist. Scientists say that there are different layers of the universe. Each layer has its own properties, composition and characteristic that affects of the key process of our planet. They are in order from the exterior to the interior. The crust, the mantle, the outer core, the inner core. That's why there are different parts and layers of this universe, that is living things, planets, stars, galaxies, dust clouds, light, and even time. And before creation, it is said by the scientist that there was no space and time. Without creation, before creation, there is no notion of time. Creation means time is started. So, from the metaphysical standpoint, before creating the world, there was no time and there was no space. That is the emptiness. And before the claiming of this, our sages and seers, they have said long before them that it is Mahashunno, Mahasunnata. That Mahashunno, that the galaxies were largely empty. It is affirmed by the scientist also before creation. So Mahasunnata, then from Mahasunnata, by the process of evolution, it is the creation of this universe is the desire. That means, why, then a legitimate question may emerge. Why Brahma created world? Creation means the abhava or absence of something. If Brahma is omnipotent and omniscient reality, then there is no abhava. But why God created this universe? If God is merciful, if God is the omnipotent entity, why there are so much miseries, pains in human being in the universe? These are the philosophical questions. But this is the sports. There are different, before saying the scientist, different layers. Our sages and seers also said there are 7 layers. Shri Anandamurtijii says and interpreted these 7 layers in his specific name, in giving a specific name, Bhurloko or Bhuloko. That means physical world where Panchabhuta, Khiti, Apo, Tej, Marut and Bone. Panchabhuta have been created only for the crudest manifestation of this very mental body, where the Sataguna is dominating force. That is Bhulaka or Bhurloko, that is the physical world. This is the first one layer. Another second layer, Bhuvarloko. Bhuvarloko, that is crude mental world. Her mind is engaged in the working of the physical body. That is the psychophysical association and integration that has been discussed by René Descartes in his philosophy mind-body dualism. Also, Spinoza, Benedict Spinoza discussed it, that there is the psychophysical parallelism. Descartes discussed the maintaining the balance between these two. There is the existence of pineal gland or pineal gland in the brain of human being. That's basically maintaining the balance or poise between the mind and body. So this stage is crude or gross mental world. Her mind is engaged in the working of the physical body. That's why appetite, aversity, sleep, indolence are relating to physical body. But vibration and pulsation are took place here also. It also related to the Kamamoy Kosha. Brahma has no body, hence there is no Kamamoy Kosha. Since Brahma has no body, there is no Kamana Vasana. That's why there is no Kamamoy Kosha. But he has mind. He regulated all things. He has mind. That's he belongs to Monomoy Kosha. Very important and pertinent. I repeat it again, that Brahma has no physical body. Hence there is no Kamamoy Kosha. But he has mind. That's why he belongs to Monomoy Kosha. Through his Bhuvarloko, he enjoys all things. That's why Brahma created not from abhava, absence of anything, but created from svabhava. That is the innate propensity and svabhava that motivate him to create something, that creation. That's why it is not abhava, but it is sports, lila. It is ananda. Why lila? For attainment of ananda. This ananda, that is the absolute bliss. But since he has mind, he enjoys these sports internally. He is mentally or monojagata is that's why different from panchabhautik jagata. This is also discussed in Subhashita Sangraha of Shri Anandamurtijii, volume 1, page 46. So first is Bhulok, second is Bhubarlok, third is Sarolok. Sarolok, the subtle mind. Bhubarlok is gross mind stage, Jagata. Sarolok is subtle mind, mental world, subtle mental world. That is related to purely monomoy kosho, where a person feels pleasure and pain. Anandamurtijii said this stage can be said as sarga, where the action of human being or action of any person is to be treated for their next life, of for the stages of their for the for their next life station. So if someone will perform good action, then his action is to be treated for Sargaloko, and the life after death or rebirth will be the karma follow. That's why karma follow is related to it, which is fixed. All sanskaro, mono vikarthi vipako, apekkikota sanskaro are exist in monomoy kosho, not in kamomoy kosho. That's why Anandamurtijii said it is the pure mental state, where not the preponderation of sataguna, rather the preponderation of rajaguna. And from this saroloko subtle mental world, all sanskaros are evolved. The fourth layer is maharloko, supramental sphere. Generally we call it otimanosoloko. Anandamurtijii also said this term otimanosoloko. The previous saroloko may be treated as manosoloko, but maharloko can be discussed as otimanosoloko. Here also the preponderation of rajaguna exists, persists, and tamaguna is inactive here. In this stage, vikaro, monovikartho, vikaro, and sanskaro, like the vibration, and vibration that helps to change the position of human minds, that is the changing state. Like the generator always generating vibration, and from where light emerges. Light emerges. So it is the strong desire for sadhana. Initially, this is the strong desire take place here, and that potentiality generate through sadhana. The next layer is called Gyanorloko, subliminal stratum. That's related to Bigganmay Loko. Non-attachment and concentration of mind can be considered here, and that helps to penetrate in the Tapar Loko, that is the sixth layer of mind. It's related to Hiranyamay Loko. Here, the Rajaguna preponderation and important is less, however, Tamaguna importance and preponderance find out. Here, knowledge is unmanifested. Even I-ness is also not functioning in this potential order, in latent form I-ness. Seventh layer is, and it is Sattva-loko. That is the truth. True, that where three gunas are present, but they are not manifesting. Purusha alone is manifest here, and that manifestation from Nirguna to Saguna. Purushottam is witnessing the causal cosmic mind. There are different stages of mind also. Causal cosmic mind, subtle cosmic mind, and gross cosmic mind. The integration of these three minds can be called in a one sentence, one word is Virato. In his idea and ideology, page number 43, he said it as Maheshwaro or Ishwaro. Therefore, unit mind versus cosmic mind, that is the macrocosmic and microcosmic minds, engaged in the notion of sancharo centrifugal and pratisancharo centripetal forces functioning in the cycle of creation. The dissociate mind from the body, and body has different vrittis. Different vrittis is related to different glands. Means acuteness or breathing the sanskaros it inhabits in the next life. That is, if our life is not functioning, then it can be compared as the death nerve self or inactive nerve self. The notion of Jagriti, Sushupti, Chapno, Nidra and Maranha, Mrityu is successively related to it. So, Ichhabijo, creation, cosmic flow, ever dynamic vrittis affects subsidiary glands, and from different glands, human beings or animals have different instincts. That's why Professor Padi also discussing on pravitti. Vrittis are innumerable, but not all vrittis are good. The vrittis which are wholesome, that are pravitti, prakishta vitti, pravitti. Whenever from pravitti to nivritti stage, that means very important, where motivates someone towards the actions and stimulus of glands and hormones, correlation with the vrittis, glands and brain. Whole physical body develops, and there are more than 50 vrittis. I am not discussing all these, but takes place with related to chitta, and chitta controlling by the sadhakos. The chitta vritti, nirodha, also yoga. When the vrittis subsidize, these leave a definite latent impression in the mind. I repeat it, very important, that is really purely related to sanskara. When the vrittis subside, they leave a definite latent impression in the mind. This impression is called sanskara. In Hume's philosophy, we know, Hume said, no impression, no ideas. Impression means whatever we are perceiving in the physical world and directly contact with the object and my mind or body, eyes, then sense object contact can help to attain some knowledge. But that is the direct knowledge. But whenever we are talking about the ideas, whenever we are seeing a Taj Mahal, and after there we can come and interpret it towards our other people, brothers and sisters. It can be called idea. So impression is very important. When vrittis, they leave definite latent impression in the mind. This impression is called sanskara. It may call a kind of reaction. Vritti, that means pravitti and nivritti, and that's related to the sanskara. That means one kind of reaction of action. That also recognized by the scientists. Even Newton, every action has reaction. Nothing is occur without cause. So every action has a cause, and every action has a reaction. So reaction is very important, and there are different degrees of reaction. Degrees of reaction, that is psychic reaction or psychic sanskaro. Anandamurtiji says ill will vibration. Anandamurtiji says it ill will vibration, that is purely related to the psychic sanskaro. Second is psychophysical reaction, that means integrated aspect, mind body reaction, not affecting the mind directly, but psychophysical integral aspects of sanskaro, integral aspects of sanskaro. Third is psychophysical reaction affecting the mind directly. The second one, psychophysical reaction, but not affecting the mind directly, affecting the mind indirectly. But in third stage, psychophysical reaction affecting the mind directly. Then fourth, action performed with Madhu Vidya, spiritual action, has no reaction. So all action has reaction, science. But spirituality, Anandamurtiji says, not all action has reaction. Only physical action has reaction. Phenomenal action has reaction. But whenever you can regulate your mind and elevate in the higher stage, which is called Madhu Vidya, spiritual action, there is no reaction. It can be called as Dagdha Bijo. That means Taja Bijo and Bhaja Bijo. If Taja Bijo, fresh seed, you can put on the soil and pour water, it will be sprouted and a tree will grow up. But if you fry the seed and put on the soil and pour water, it will not sprout, not to be sprouted and grow. That's why only Shakama Karma is like the Taja Bijo, but Dagdha Bijo or Bhaja Bijo, that means Niskama Karma. If Niskama Karma can be performed by the person, then it has no fruit, and it is the emancipation. Rebirth will not be possible. Like the Dagdha Bijo will not give any, or will not give any tree, or it will not be sprouted. However, there are different types of sanskaro, that is sahojato sanskaro, innate sanskaro, pratyayamulak sanskaro, or acquired sanskaro, aropito or imposed sanskaro. That means where there are different types of sanskaros that basically motivate our mind, that may be related to our this physical world, this our environment, our obligations and activities, and our teachings on different vritti or pesha or professions. That's why types of sanskaras also varied. That's why human beings' activities are also varied. However, innate or sahojato sanskaro is very important, that related to Madhu Vidya, where integrate and vibration among human beings due to their different sanskaro, and that will elevate a person like Videhi Manaso. Videhi, and in the chapter 3, sutra number 5, where it is said in Ananda Sutram, Videhi Manase na kritabvam na sukhani na dukhani. That's why when indriyo chitta aham inactive, and then in the state of bliss, there is no pleasure and no pain. That's why sanskaros, that is the psychological aspect which helps a human being to understand and different layers, and that's also recognized by the scientist also. Scientist says there are different layers, that is the crust layer, mental layer, core layer, lithosphere, asthenosphere, manosphere, troposphere, exosphere, 7 layers. And before the sayings of the scientist, it has already been discussed or time immemorial, by the naked people, sages and seers of India, and there was no such microscope, no such computer. However, they have, since the beginning of this world civilization, they have depicted this idea towards the people, and this is the state of emancipation. Each and every human being is searching for that emancipation from the where the three tapo can be removed. That's why vidhi manuse na kritabvam na sukhani na dukhani. In the state, that state where the pain and pleasure will be vanquished. This is very important that the indriyo, chitto and ahango integrated in the state, and that is the state of bliss. Thank you all.
Sunanta is, perhaps Sunandita left from. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Chairperson is there.
Yeah. Biswajit is there?
Chairperson, our chairperson.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Now,
Now,
Dr. Anil Pratap Giri is there. He joined just now. Thank you, Professor Sirajul Islam. You have explained Anandamurtiji's philosophy in a very systematic manner. You have touched the Anand Sutram, Adyan Adloji, and so many things. Now I am requesting Dr. Anil Pratap Giri. He is a associate professor of Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Motihari. Of course, before that he was a assistant professor in Pondicherry University. Now recently, 1 year before, he joined Central University, Motihari. So now I am requesting him to just present your paper.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I would like to start my presentation with invocation. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Namas sabhai sabhapatibhyascha. The webinar of today, the chief guest is Professor Yasar Bhatt sir, Chairman, National Philosophy Congress, Chairperson, most revered Professor Gopal Chandra Mishra sir, Department of Sanskrit, Ravindra Bharati University, and former Vice Chancellor, Gauravbhang University, West Bengal, and supervisor of my best friend, Dr. Sudeep Chakravarti. Therefore, I will treat him as a guru because Sudeep Chakravarti is my best friend. Now he is assistant professor, Department of Sanskrit, Siddho Kano University, Purulia, and I think Sudeep Chakravarti ji is also here. Then Professor Sirajul Islam sir, Department of Philosophy and Comparative Religion, Vishwabharati University. Just now sir delivered a wonderful lecture on Sanskara. I have been enlightened through his lecture. Professor Lakshmikant Padhi ji, now sir has been promoted as a professor. So congratulations to you, sir. I heard this news. Dr. Sutpa Ray Madam, Associate Professor, Dr. Biswajit Bhaumik, Swami Divyachetanand Avadhut ji, and my student, Dr. Parimal Mandal, who is now Assistant Professor, Swarnamai Jogendranath Mahavidyalaya, Ahmedabad, Purbi Midnapur. My humble pranams to one and all. So, I would like to present my paper on the practice of art and literature. So this is the article, the practice of art and literature. And this article of Shrii Anandamurtijii has been published in so many books. like discourse on neo-humanist education, a few problems solved part 1, the great universe discourse on society, Proud in a nutshell, volume 1, part A compilation, universal humanism, a compilation. So in this article, the practice of art and literature, Shri Anandamurtijii has described the literary meaning of Sahitya, and he bifurcated there is a huge difference between literature and Sahitya. Literature and Sahitya both cannot be the one. Literature, this concept has come from the West, and it has originated from the lit to letter, means writing. That is not applicable for Indian intellectual traditions, especially Sanskrit knowledge systems. Literature was translated as a Sahitya. That is not a good translation, because Sahitya has a great, we can say the different concept that is not fulfilling as a translation literature. So what are the basic differences between literature and Sahitya, and what is the concept of Sahitya as per Shri Anandamurtijii, that I want to highlight in this August gathering. So I would like to present this paper through PowerPoint presentation. So this is the topic, Shri Anandamurtijii's analysis of Sahitya in the light of Sanskrit, because he has elaborated the term Sahitya in the light of Sanskrit. That's why what is the meaning of Sahitya that is applicable for Sanskrit knowledge systems. I cannot say this, the meaning Sahitya is applicable for the Hindi literature and other literature, but it is totally as it is applicable for Sanskrit literature. So what is the meaning of Sahitya that I would like to highlight? Shri Anandamurtijii says that Hiten Sah Sahityam. He defines the literary meaning of Sahitya is Hiten Sah Sahityam. And he says that, what is the Hiten? He says that Hiten means welfare. Sah means with. So with welfare. So this is the literary meaning of Sahitya. With welfare can be treated the work which is having the welfareism concept, that work can be treated as a Sahitya. It means if in the Sahitya there is no concept of welfare, then that cannot be treated as a Sahitya. It can be literature, but it cannot be the Sahitya. He says that Sahitya is that which coexists with welfare. Welfare must be inherent in the Sahitya. Without welfare, Sahitya cannot be the Sahitya. It can be literature. Why he is saying that it can be literature? Because literature, as per Western knowledge systems, literature is imaginary, literature is utopia, literature is fantasy. There is no role with society, there is no role with reality. But as per Sanskrit knowledge systems, what is the literature? Literature means Sahitya. In Sahitya, it connects to reality. It connects to spirituality. It connects to society. Therefore, Sahitayoh bhavah sahityam or hiten sah sahityam. It means the Sahitya is that which is having the concept of welfare. If we see what is the purpose of Sahitya, the purpose of Sahitya means to gain the Purusarth Chatushtay. This is also one purpose. To gain the Purusarth Chatushtay, Dharma, Arth, Kam and Moksha can be achieved through the literature in the easiest manner. And this Dharma, Arth, Kam and Moksha, this is the fourfold aim of the human being. So therefore, Sahitya, through the Sahitya, we can achieve the Purushartha, and if we are achieving the Purushartha, so in this concept of welfare is also inherent. So where there is no spirit of welfare, we cannot use the term of Sahitya. This is the clear-cut stand of Shrii Anandamurtijii in this article, The Practical of Art, the Practice of Art and Literature. And now if we see Rajsekhar in Kavya Mimamsa, in the second chapter, he says that Hitopadeshakatvat cha. What is the Kavya? Kavya has a concept, Kavya has a purpose, that is Hitopadesha. Upadesh means knowledge, knowledge of welfare. So Hitopadeshakatvat. So because Kavya is the source of gaining the knowledge of welfare, that is why this is called Kavya. This is clear-cut definition has been mentioned in Kavya Mimamsa chapter number 2. Then on the basis of that, what is the Hitopadesha? Hitopadesha is like this: Ramadivat vartitavyam, Ramadivat pravartitavyam, na Ravanadivat. We have to follow. We have to follow the behavior of Ram. We should not follow the behavior of Ravan. So this sense, this meaning, this Hitopadesha, from where we are gaining? We are gaining from the Kavya. Therefore, on the basis of this, Shrii Anandamurtijii also saying that what is the Sahitya? Sahitya means in which welfare must be existed. Without the concept of welfare, we cannot say this is Sahitya. But as per Western knowledge systems, it can be treated as a literature. So this is the clear-cut stand of Shrii Anandamurtijii in the light of Sanskrit knowledge traditions. The second definition, he is again saying the second definition of Sahitya, and he says that Sahitya derives from Sahit. Sahit means, here some is the prefix. Prefix means we can say this is the activated idea as per Shrii Anandamurtijii. Dha is the root, and then dha is going to convert into ha, and then ta is also suffix. This is the activated faculty as per Shrii Anandamurtijii. So some upasarga, dha dhatu, ta pratyay, all are making together Sahit. And if we add sya pratyay, then it is coming Sahitya. So he is saying Sahitya derives from Sahit. And what is Sahit? Sahit means with, togetherness. So togetherness, Sahit is Sahit, and in Sahit, Syai suffix is there. Syai is the Sahit. Sahitayoh bhava iti sahityam. What is the bhav? Bhav is coming from the Syai pratyay. So Syai is the suffix which is saying the bhav. So Sahit means with, Syai means harmony. So with harmony. So what? With harmony of whom? So Sahit is that whose characteristics move with harmony. Sahitya possesses the harmonic structure. So what is the Sahitya? Sahitya does not impart the concept of welfare. It is having the harmony also. The structure of Sahitya is totally harmonic. What is the harmonic? Means aesthetic experience. Aesthetic experience is also involved in the Sahitya, and that is the ultimate goal of Sahitya. But the concept of welfare is also inherent in Sahitya. Therefore, Sahitya gives the real knowledge. Sahitya is imparting the welfare, and then Sahitya makes the harmony. So this is a very big concept which he has explored in the article, The Practice of Art and Literature. And these concepts are already elaborated in the different manner in Sanskrit studies. So now literary meanings of literature is welfare of society and blessed full life. Harmony means blessed full life. We have to be coexistence. We have to respect to each other with love and joy. So this here, this blessed full life or pleasure life without the spiritual practices, without spiritual longings cannot be gained. So this is the picture of literary meaning of Sahitya. Thus, literature is that which moves together with society and leads society towards true fulfillment and welfare by providing the inspiration to serve. Anandamurtijii is saying that what literature's intention? The literature's intention is that art for art's sake. But as per Sanskrit knowledge systems, Anandamurtijii has opposed this concept. And he is saying that this concept is not applicable for Indian knowledge intellectual tradition. It is not applicable for Sanskrit knowledge systems. It is not applicable for Sanskrit literature. He says that art for art's sake, it may be applicable for Western literature, but it is not applicable for Sanskrit literature. And he says that for Sanskrit literature, what is the Sahitya? Art for service and blessedness is acceptable. So Sahitya means this is an art. It is art for service and it is blessedfulness, means it is a joyful to gain. It is the source of gaining the pleasure. That pleasure, even if that pleasure may be the worldly pleasure, but in that worldly pleasure, psycho-spiritual parallelism is also inherent. Therefore, this literature is giving the blessedfulness also. So, because psycho-spiritual parallelism is also inherent, how we can say psycho-spiritual parallelism is also inherent in the Sahitya? Even Sahitya is describing this worldly nature, the worldly things, because without psycho-spiritual parallelism, idea cannot be gained. Idea cannot be generated. And what is the purpose of this Sahitya? The purpose of this Sahitya is not only means to gain the materialistic desire. The purpose of Sahitya is Purushartha Chatushtayi also, as per definition of Sahitya Darpanakar. Sahitya Darpanakar is saying, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshanam. Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha. Means he is saying that the Alpa Buddhi, a person who does not having the good knowledge, who is not very sharp, who is not having good intellect, that person also can gain the Purushartha in very easy manner. So he has to read the Sahitya. He has to gain the knowledge from the Sahitya, because he is not able to read he is not able to gain the knowledge, the gist of the Shastra, because Shastra is little bit difficult for him. So the purpose is the same. The purpose is Purushartha Chatushtayi, apart from the holistic purpose also. Therefore, this literature, this Sahitya, it is for service as well as blessedness. It is for blessedness also. Now, Sahitya is that whose characteristic is to move with the trends of life. It gives the real knowledge. It is connected with reality. What is it is not the fantasy. Then, therefore, it is associated with real life. On the basis of this concept, we can say Sahitya imparts the real knowledge. We should not say Sahitya does not give the real knowledge. Only Shastra gives the real knowledge. It imparts the real knowledge. Even Kavya Mimamsakar are also saying that Kavya is superior to Sahitya and Kavya is superior to Shastra, and all the elements are Shastras are inherent in Kavya. And what is the purpose of Shastra? The purpose of Shastra is to gain the Purushartha Chatushtayi. That is also the purpose of Kavya. So therefore, Sahitya imparts the real knowledge. But Shastra gives only the knowledge. That may be the scientific knowledge or systematic knowledge. But Sahitya gives knowledge as well as joy. Therefore, Sahitya is superior to Shastra. So Sahitya makes the life delightful. We can get the knowledge from the Shastra, but that knowledge will not give the joy. But Sahitya, what knowledge we are getting from the Sahitya, it will give the delightfulness also. It will give the joy also. Therefore, it makes the life delightful. Sahitya is associated with Purushartha, that I have already elaborated, and Sahitya liberates us. It liberates us means whatever ignorances, whatever means we can say the bondages are in our heart, those bondages will reopen, and ultimately when we are feeling the ras charvada, when we are feeling the aesthetic experience, then till that it liberates us also. That's why what is the rasa? Rasa is Paramananda Swad Sahodar and Vibhavad Jivitavadhi. So Paramananda Swad Sahodar, we can also get that enjoyment, what enjoyment Shastra is giving, but it is lower enjoyment, but at some extent it also liberates us. So this is also very much important if regarding to the concept of Sahitya. Sahitya also liberates us. What is Sahitya? On the basis of that, we can say Sahitya is an aesthetic relationship between the word and meaning. Word is there and meaning is there. Shabd is there and arth is there. What is the role of Sahitya? The role of Sahitya is a relationship between word and meaning. So it is Sahitya is only the relationship. And what type of relationship? This is aesthetic relationship. Sahitayoh bhavah sahityam. What is the bhava? Bhava is aesthetic relationship which connects the word to its meaning. So the role of Sahitya is to make a relationship between word and meaning in such a manner so that aesthetic experience can be revealed. Aesthetic experience can be realized. So this is the definition of Sahitya. Aesthetic relationship delimits the property of the meaning. Property of the meaning means arthatva. Arth is having the property, that is arthatva. What is the arthatva? Arthatva is ground of something. Ground of something that says that this is artha. So Sahitya, this aesthetic relationship, which is a Sahitya, it is the relationship which delimits the property of the meaning in such a way so that the property of word means Shabdatva. Shabda pravritti nimitti. The cause of Shabda. The cause of Shabda is Shabdatva. Shabdatva is the property of the word. And the property of the meaning should be equivalent. Relationship. Sahitya is a relationship which makes the relation between word and meaning. And this relationship is like this. Sahitya is delimiter. This relationship is delimiter. Delimiter of the property of the meaning. And in which manner it delimits? It delimits like that so that the property of word and the property of meaning can be equivalent. Then what will be the result? The result will be like this. Wherever is the word, there will be the aesthetic experience. Or where will be the aesthetic experience, there will be the word. So vyapi vyapak bhav sambandh. Delimited relationship can be held to that one. So Sahitya is the harmonic relationship between. Swami ji, may I continue or what?
आप तो दे ही रहे हैं, सब बोलिए वहाँ.
Please.
स्वामी जी का न्यूज बोल रहे भाई 1 महीना से नहीं लगा रहा है.
Swami ji.
Hello.
May I continue? No?
Okay.
Hello, Anil. Hello, Anil Pratap ji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your speech is very much beautiful and soothing, but due to time constraint, you are requested to precise.
Hello. Sir. Okay, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I will do like this.
Yes.
So ultimately, I will go only one last slide, and then I will conclude like this. So this is Sahitayoh Bhava Sahityam. This is the definition of Sahit, which has done, which is defined in the Vritti of Vakrokti Jivitam, the verse number 17, the first chapter, the first Paricheda of Vakrokti Jivitam. Vakrokti Jivitam written by Acharya Kuntak, and the meaning of this Sahitya is an aesthetic relationship between the word and meaning. And then in the Vritti, in the commentary of this this definition, he is saying that Shabdarthayoh Anyun Anatirikta Saundaryatmak Bhavah Sahityam. Shabdarthayoh, word and meaning. Anyun Anatirikta Saundaryatmak Bhavah. Saundaryatmak Bhavah means aesthetic relationship. That is literature. That is Sahitya. And this aesthetic literature is like this Anyun Anatirikta, means it delimits the word and meaning in such a way, then on the basis of that we can say wherever is the Sahitya or wherever is the word, there will be the aesthetic experience, or where will be the aesthetic experience, there will be the word. So delimited relationship or pervaded relationship is equivalent. So on the basis of that, we can say word and meaning both are equivalent in the aesthetic, in the sense of aesthetic experience. And Sahitya, in Sahitya, Artha means Shabd possesses the Artha. And what type of Artha Shabd possesses? The aesthetic experience kind of word, kind of meaning Shabd possesses. And this is the clear-cut explanation of Shrii Anandamurtijii कि साहित्य gives the real knowledge. It is not fantasy. It cannot be translated as a literature. So with these words, I would finish this lecture. If any clarification is there, and so many distinguished academicians are here, if they want to enlighten me more and more, so those things are most welcome. Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Anil Prasad Pratap Giriji, for your beautiful delivery. Now I invite Dr. Sutopa Roy, most probably. Hello. Now I invite Dr. Sutopa Roy to deliver her speech. Hello, Sutopa Roy. Hello, Dr. Sutopa Roy. Am I audible to you? Hello. Hello. She is disconnected most probably right now. Swamiji. Swamiji.
Now on Sutapa, Madam is there, perhaps I think she has not joined.
Actually, I saw Sutopa Giri to be present here, but
Okay.
somehow she has been disconnected.
Okay. So what we will do?
Then we could conclude.
No. I just you have to deliver your chair. You have chair no this session.
Yes. Actually, Swamiji.
Yeah.
May I now start?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Vande Guru Paramparam. At the outset, I like to offer my heartfelt homage on the lotus feet of Shrii Anandamurtijii. Then I want to convey my pranama to Swami Dibya Chetananand Abadhutji, the mentor of this webinar, as well as other sannyasins who are relentlessly associated with Anando Marga for the service of humanity. And then I want to convey my sincere regard to our chief guest, Professor S.R. Bhatt, without whom we are not being able to honor today. Then we have got in the technical session, we have got Dr. Biswajit Bhaumik, Deputy Director, Indira Gandhi National Open University. We have got Professor Lakshmikant Padhi, Professor, Department of Philosophy and Head of the Department, North Bengal University. Then we have got Professor Sirajul Islam, Professor of Philosophy and Comparative Religion, Vishwabharati. And then we got Dr. Anil Pratap Giri, Associate Professor, Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Motihari. It was expected that Dr. Shutopa Roy will join us, but somehow she has been disconnected or she has left. I don't know. But first of all, I am going to the delivery of our chief speaker, that is chief guest today, Professor S.R. Bhatt.
Sir, can you open your video?
Hello.
Can you open your video?
Yes.
Please open your video.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
For 1 minute.
Professor Bhatt has nicely presented our speech here, and it was expected from him, surely, because being seated on the chair of our teacher, he taught us some new words about Anandamurtijii, which we didn't know. Actually, so far our knowledge goes, we have known that Anandamurtijii is one of the saviors of humanity from their inequalities. But Professor Bhatt has taught us that Anandamurti was a Borodoputra, the son of Saraswati. I have been listening to so many lectures for more than 2 months, but I did never hear like this that she was Borodoputra. Actually, she was Borodoputra. However, in course of discussing Anandamurtiji's philosophy, Professor Bhatt has rightly taken us to the field of that Samo Samaja Tattva. And pointed out rightly that without Samaja Tattva, human civilization can never go ahead. Human civilization can never survive. And even how can Samo Samaja Tattva achieve its goal is also clarified by him with the light of Anandamurtiji's philosophy. This is Satya, this is Ananda, Satya is Ananda, by which Samaja Tattva can be established. Because Ananda takes to that realization that all of us are equal in the light of that supreme being, that is Brahma. Satyam Anandam Jnanam Brahma. So, and even in his enriched lecture, Professor Bhatt has reminded one important point at the fag end, that Anandamurtiji was not at all confined within the periphery of spirituality. Actually, his spirituality, that is Anandamurtiji's spirituality, was enriched with two wings, theory and practice. So according to Anandamurti, we have to acquire para and apara, both the knowledges, if we wish to achieve that coveted goal. That is, we have to acquire both para vidya and apara vidya if we want to achieve that goal. So, on behalf of all the audience, once again, I convey my pranamo at the lotus feet of Professor Bhatt. Then we got our speaker, Dr. Vishwajit Bhaumik, a prolific and erudite speaker. And he delivered his speech on proud. Actually, it is the continuation of the speeches delivered in last week. And he has rightly pointed out the importance of proud and actually importance of proud and utilization of proud. And it is very interesting to note that he has, in the light of Anandamurtiji's philosophy, very relevantly pointed out that proud can be applicable or proud can be applied by means of achieving the concept of Sadvipra. Sadvipra is only the way to achieve the results of proud. This is very innovative thoughts. Professor Vishwajit Bhaumik has derived from the philosophy of Anandamurtijii. So thanks to Professor Bhaumik to enlighten us to a new vein of interpretation. And we are really taught a new thing in a very specific way, that Sadvipra, the achievement of the concept of Sadvipra is the only way to go to the success, to this nearer to proud, because it's not so easy to apply proud in our society. It can be easy with the help of Sadvipra, with the help of the concept of Sadvipra. So once again, Professor Homi, on behalf of the elated audience, I convey my heartfelt pleasure to you. And then we got Professor Lakshmikant Padhi. It's a special day for him. We all have recognized him that he has elevated to the position of a professor today. Thanks, Professor Padhi. You are now in the periphery of our professors. So actually, it does not mean whether he is a professor or an associate professor or an assistant professor, but it's an achievement after all. This is, I am saying like this. Professor Padhi's speech put emphasis on neo-humanism in general and liberation of intellect in particular. And in his speech, he has pointed out a concept of universalism in general and the concept of universal brotherhood in particular. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam Atraiva Vishwang Bhavattaika Needam. And even he cited the first mantra of Ishopanishad, Isavas Midang Saravang, Yat Kincha Yagatyam Yagat, Tena Tyaktena Vunjithaha, Magridha Kasya Siddhanam. Tena Tyaktena, he has put emphasis, what I remember. In actual sense, without renouncing anything, you will not have the right to enjoy anything. If you renounce, you have the right to enjoy. Actually, with the voice of Professor Padhi, I want to say to the audience that a unique sense of socialism is hidden here. This is socialism. সবার সাথে হতে হবে সমান, ভাগ করে খেতে হবে অন্ন পান। রবীন্দ্রনাথ টেগোর said in Bengali, ভাগ করে খেতে হবে অন্ন পান। That is socialism. When I am sharing the total accumulation of wealth with others, that is tago, that is renouncement. And when I am taking only my share, that is bhoga. So, if you develop that mind to renounce the shares of others and enjoy the only share of you, that is Tena Tyaktena. And Anandamurtijii rightly pointed out that point. So, I do hereby want to record my thanks for Professor Padhi for delivering such a beautiful lecture to us. Then even so I have forgot, just remember, I am remembering one more thing also. At the end part of his lecture, Professor Padhi has successfully pointed out the interpretation of Shrii Anandamurtijii, how to achieve universalism. That depends upon our attitude, that is delineated uniquely in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. That is, when we can be Sudhir, Shakha, Priya Shakha, and Priya Norma Shakha, then we shall be able to create universal brotherhood. Thanks to Professor Padhi once again. And then we got our prolific speaker, Professor Sirajul Islam. Actually, from the very beginning of these webinars this year, I have been privileged to listen to the lectures of Professor Sirajul Islam. The more I hear the lectures of Sirajul Islam, the more I am enriched. And I think the audience, like me, is also enriched every day with the deliveries of Professor Sirajul Islam. Actually, particularly today, he gave emphasis on creation theory, and he took up 3-4 sutras of Anandamurtijii, and he successfully delineated the interpretation, the inner meanings of Sahajato, Pratyaya Mulaka, and Aropita Samskaro. And even the process of transmission from body to mind and from mind to soul. This is the passage of transmission to go to the spirituality. And even in the light of Anandamurtijii, he has rightly reminded us today that spiritualism does not sound without science. This is a new phenomenon as conceived by Anandamurtijii and as explained by Sirajul Islam. Professor Sirajul Islam is explaining day by day the theory that is endless, because this theory is endless. Actually, whenever we hear the word spiritualism, we think of an utopian world. But according to Anandamurtiji's theory, spiritualism is not at all utopian. It is real. We can realize spiritualism in our body, in our mind, in our soul. So there is science that has splendidly been explained by Professor Sirajul Islam. So I don't know Sirajul Ji. Oh, Sirajul Ji is ever present. So Sirajul Ji, I once again congratulate to you for delivering so unique lecture today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Actually, you have put emphasis on such an endless theory that will continue, and we shall be waiting for you to hear from you such lectures in the next stage. Then I am coming to our last speaker, but not the least at all. Our younger chap, Dr. Anil Pratap Giri. And most probably, to my knowledge, he is emerging as a very, very mature speaker. And he has rightly pointed out in his lecture the practice of art and literature in the light of Anandamurtijii. But I have one thing to say here, because it is my subject. Chaturvarga phalat, Chaturvarga phalat, Chaturvarga phalar, the word of Chaturvarga has been mentioned by Vishwanatha in his Sahitya Darpana. And then Sukhajalpa Dhyamapi, he has said. Here, Alpa Dhya does not mean at all small kind of wit or small kind of knowledge or small kind of intellect. It means a much more softer kind of intellect, that is Sukumaramati Nam. It is mentioned in the commentary, Alpadhyam, that is Sukumaramati Nam. That is uncooked, simple intellect that searches every day and everywhere the welfare of human being. That is Sukumaramati. And even it is, he has very, very uniquely delineated his lecture like a picture to us, Chitravat. And he has rightly referred to the reference as it is found in the second chapter of Kavya Mimamsa. The concept of Sahitya is there also. And Sahitayo Bhavaha Sahitya Hitena Saha Sahitya. That is, these are good. But the new thing that is exposed and that is delineated in Anandamurtiji's interpretation is that psycho-spiritual, that is that is aesthetic relationship. That is a new thing. As aesthetic relationship, Sahitya gives real knowledge by means of aesthetic relationship between word and meaning. And ultimately, Sahitya goes nearer to the welfare of humanity. It may not be totally the welfare of humanity, but Sahitya goes nearer. Sahitya takes us to the near periphery of welfare of humanity. And Sahitya takes us to that alaukika jagato, which diminishes or removes the difference between sukha and dukkha. So, in sukha, that is when we cry or when we get grief, the audience gets pleasure, because the grief in Sahitya, sorrows and sufferings in Sahitya become alaukika, and that alaukika stage gives ananda to the audience, and alaukika stage takes us from our narrowness to the wider sense, in which we feel that we are the sons and daughters of that supreme being. We are not different. We are one. The world is one. We are the citizens of this universe. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is, Sahitya takes us to the periphery of welfare of human beings. So, my young chap, that is Dr. Anil Pratap Giri, my blessings are always with you. Please go on and keep on your space like this. Thanks. Thanks to all. And last of all, I once again like to thank my revered Swamiji, Divya Chetanananda Abadhut, for giving us opportunity to have such lectures, to listen to such lectures. It is his credit that he has paved the stage for delivering so good lectures and for listening to these lectures. Once again, on behalf of the audience, I pay my homage to Swamiji and all other Swamijis to Anandamurtijii. Swamiji, please, please deliver your thanks.
Thanks. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Today, namaskar to everybody. Today is our honorable chief guest, Professor S.R. Bhatt. He has beautifully explained the concept of Anandamurtiji's philosophy. He also, first time he has talked on new humanism. Before that, he never discussed this thing. Today, I think most of the speaker has come to the same angle of their expression. And our then first speaker, Dr.